Well, hello, welcome to Tarot to the T. Today we're going to do a mid-March 2023 reading for the sign of Sagittarius. If this is the first time to my channel, welcome Sagittarius. And if you're returning, welcome back. And I want to let you know that I'm going to start doing extended readings on certain signs, depending on how many likes I get on the video prior. So in other words, if you like this video and you want to see the extended, go ahead and hit that likes symbol, and whichever ones I get the most, because I just don't have time to do all the signs, so I had to narrow it down. So now that I got that out of the way, I want to mention I'm very grateful and thankful to all my subscribers and anyone who's donated to my virtual tip jar, which can be found in the bottom of the description box. So this message for Sagittarius has been coming out while I've been speaking, and we're going to just jump right into it, okay? Eight of Spades. You got some stress going on around work, don't you? Mental, physical, or emotional. So the Eight of Spades is a call to action to relieve that stress in some way, because it has become too much. It could be a matter of just working too many hours. If it's a physical job, you're just kind of overdoing it in some manner, or you're being asked to do more than is normal for your job duties, for example. But there is some kind of stress going on around work. Highlighted here, Sagittarius. The Two of Hearts, the Four of Clubs. The Two of Hearts talks about a desire for companionship and harmony and connection, whereas the Four of Clubs talks about things being balanced in the home. You're very stable in your home life. You don't have any issues with paying bills, or where you live is very stable. You don't have to move, for example. So it could be that you're single and you're desiring that companionship, but I'm also reading it another way, that you do have that harmony and balance around home. This could all be positives. This isn't necessarily desires. This could be like your current situation, for example. Even though you have the stress going on at work, doesn't mean things at home are, necessarily bad. The Two of Spades, Ten of Diamonds. Interesting. So the Ten of Diamonds talks about a major cycle completing for you, like closing a chapter. It's about prosperity and success. But the Two of Spades talks about disconnection. You know what I'm getting? The stress around work is tied up to this disconnection from prosperity and success. I think you walked into a job situation that you thought was going to really pay off. It was going to be fantastic for you, as far as a career move. It was going to be fulfilling. You had great hopes for it. When you walk into those job situations where you start to imagine the future and how, I could be promoted, I could work my way up to this other position that, requires some experience and training, for example. We just start to kind of fantasize where things could lead, especially on new starts, because most of us, I would imagine, tend to be optimistic and positive about the whole thing. But it looks like I'm hearing your hopes have been dashed. That's not a phrase I use very often, but if you've heard that phrase, it's very old-fashioned. Your hopes have been dashed in some way. There's disconnection, and that disconnection, by the way, when it relates to people, is pretty permanent. So in other words, it's not reversible. It's not going to repair itself over time. That's very possible that you're recognizing that whatever hopes you had for this job, career, employment, whatever it is for you, you realize that there's no solution, there's no remedy. Okay, four of diamonds. You have some kind of windfall though, so perhaps the position you took did bring in a fair amount of abundance for you from the get-go. It's just that you had a lot higher aspirations. It's like, I'm not sure exactly how to phrase it, because I feel like it applies to different people and different situations. So that one key phrase that would just make it fit, I feel like I get a jumble of different impressions from that. But you're being cautioned against spending with the four of diamonds, even though you're very secure. And we did see that with the four of clubs, which is more about, in the general sense, and perhaps even in the emotional sense because of the two of hearts. The four of diamonds talks about that stability and security financially, supporting your lifestyle. Let's go ahead and pull some more cards. Sagittarius, six of clubs. You have a lot of opportunities here for personal growth. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean, the Dr. Phil, Oprah kind of personal growth. It can also mean financially or spiritually, for example. But there's a lot of opportunities opening up for you in this situation, or whatever's transpiring in your life. So perhaps that's a positive, that you're learning a lot from the situation, and it's going to bring you to that next level. And again, those doors are going to start opening for you, because sixes talk about the opportunities that perhaps haven't even appeared yet. You are on this path. This is a new start, but you're on this path to follow your heart. Can be in romance, not necessarily. It's just about, your deep desires, your true wishes in a certain direction. Perhaps it is in this employment, career sector. In other words, not compromising yourself. Perhaps that's why you see this as being a dead end in some way. It's not gonna pan out to exactly the success and prosperity that you have in mind for yourself. That Ace of Hearts could talk about that success and prosperity that you have your sights on, what you're really looking to achieve. What else can you tell me about Sagittarius? Some kind of completion here. Now, this could relate to the situation that you see as a dead end, that's not going to turn itself around. This is disappointment and loss. It doesn't necessarily have to be traumatic, like, a death or the end of a marriage. It doesn't have to be on that scale. It could just be just like a major downer. Sometimes it can be like a spiritual death of some sort, like you've lost faith. So I don't mean to negate the impact of this. I just know that there's other cards that can come out that can tell me that something more tremendous is going on. I just see this is pretty. It's pretty dark, and it could have been changes that came about that you didn't have in your control. So therefore, in some way they were destined, in some way they were necessary. But still, the fallout from that is you're very deeply disappointed. But it's a completion, so it's done. It could be, again, talking about this work situation that you know that it's not going to go anywhere if you're still in it, and maybe you're already out of it, and therefore it's completed. Or that could be talking about something else that's going on in your life, but I haven't seen anything else pop up here. I'm just seeing a picture related to employment pretty strongly. Sagittarius, mid-March 2023. Whoa. Okay. Three of clubs, Jack of diamonds. So the three of clubs does talk about kind of being pulled in two different directions. It's causing strife, some kind of fight. Perhaps you're fighting against what's going on and you just haven't come to terms with it yet. So it's kind of an inner struggle. The Jack of diamonds talks about it involving a younger earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. Now, if it isn't a person, actually I see it less as a person, but more of an experience of you being new in some kind of financial matter. In other words, all of a sudden, like with the four diamonds, it tells me that you have some kind of income or abundance coming in that's fresh. So the Jack of Diamonds is that freshness, it's that newness, it's less experience in how to handling this new wealth, abundance, whatever form it takes. Doesn't necessarily mean you're a millionaire. It's just, it's a new level that you haven't faced before. So there's some kind of struggle with that. Perhaps you are struggling with perhaps letting go because this isn't going to reach the potential that you had in mind. It could be struggling with the adjustment of having this kind of abundance, and perhaps you've been going around spending money in a way that you feel is a little bit out of control. And this is less experience, right? You still know how to budget it in the way that you feel is the healthiest. Let's grab another card here at least before we go into advice for Sagittarius. Or Sagittarius. Seven of Diamonds. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So the sevens talk about internal experiences generally, and again I see a strong indication you're experiencing some kind of abundance, wealth, money in the bank that you're not used to, because this warns against gambles, taking unnecessary risks, or let's say risky financial transactions. Again, you had that with the four diamonds, so you have that being highlighted here again. Just be careful with excessive spending, especially if you're getting ready to change careers. Sometimes we have like a gap that we have to carry ourselves over until we start having that new paycheck come in. I see that tied up though with the struggle and newfound wealth or new income. I think that's the struggle, and I think you recognize it. I don't think you're unaware of it. It's just, just kind of denoting, the caution that needs to be taken there. Let's go ahead and look at your cards of advice and see what's going on that side. The King of Diamonds. So this is about taking control of your finances, for sure. King of Diamonds is an earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Now, again, if you don't have this in your chart, you're not dealing with an earth sign. That I see the kings as taking control. They have dominion over their territory, what falls under their jurisdiction. And the king is very practical minded when it comes to money. This denotes somebody who's very, very good with budgets and balancing checkbooks and that kind of thing. So I see that as an indication that perhaps you're being encouraged to keep working on that if you haven't already achieved that. The Jack of Hearts, you could be dealing with a younger water sign, Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. If not, this is about keeping your heart open. Again, it's kind of that young, fresh perspective, but it's more in the emotional matters, right? And with the heart being open, you tend to have a little bit of vulnerability, not necessarily a bad thing, just something that kind of goes along with the territory. And the Four of Hearts, remembering that you have support and connection around you. Perhaps it's speaking back to this, where you have this harmony. I'm strongly seeing this as a Sagittarius who's in a relationship, or they're living with somebody who's like in some kind of family capacity. This is about remembering you have that support and connection, especially where you live, especially in the lifestyle that you're living, the living situation. It's very positive there. Three of Diamonds, there is a bit of confusion around income, around money. You're being pulled into different directions. You don't know exactly perhaps how to decide. If you're still in that work situation here, perhaps you're not sure how to step out of it, where to go next, if you should hang in there for the meantime. But I think there's a very strong indication here. You realize it's not going to go anywhere. At least it's not gonna Bring your dreams closer to you, your goals here. So I think that's all wrapped up in this confusion around finance and money. I think it definitely has to do with that situation. That's too many cards. I can't take that. I think that was a fluke. We are going to ask for more cards of advice, though, please, for Sagittarius for mid-March 2023. You do have a lot of options, opportunities coming your way financially. This is especially around being able to take financial responsibility. That's like paying off debt, perhaps paying off your home, paying off your car, or just taking care of things that have been neglected. But you got a lot of opportunities coming your way. So however this pans out and what you decide to do, it looks like you're headed in the right direction. I just see it kind of the flow going that way. But you still have this emotional tug in two different directions. So whereas this talked more about the practical end of things financially, there's the confusion. Your heart's really pulling you in two different directions. I don't think it's between two people. I think it's that decision you need to make. Since this didn't work out, where do you go next? And let's not forget, you are focused on pursuing what you truly desire. That's like wish that you're seeking. In other words, you're seeking your wish fulfillment, whatever that is, whatever form it takes. That's what you got your eyes on. It's like that's the ultimate prize for you. Doesn't necessarily mean you're, again, aspiring to be a billionaire. It probably has to do with that fulfillment that comes from the work you do, and it's satisfying you on more than just one level. And this is all destined. Could have predicted that pretty much. I think I mentioned destiny down here in the beginning. I don't remember what context it was. But this is all fated and destined, which tells me that you are following the path that you're meant to follow. I don't know. This is kind of a confirmation there. With the 6, again, you have more options and opportunities coming your way because you're following the path that you were meant to follow. You're not deviating from that. You're not. In other words, and you may ask yourself, well, how can we not follow our path if it's meant to be? I think we can, because we can fight against the tide. We can struggle against it to the point that we're headed in a direction that we know deep in our heart and our gut, we're not supposed to be doing that. Perhaps, even giving up is like not following your path, in a sense. Yeah, ultimately it becomes part of your path, especially if you loop back around and you get back on the path, then obviously it was part of your path. But we have that free will, and I don't know if you ever heard about the endless possibilities in the universe of quantum physics and whatnot that talk about all the endless possibilities. Why take the hard path if you're following what what you truly desire, in other words, and what you're supposed to head towards? Don't stray off that path, because you want to take the path that's shortest and least resistance. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's kind of what I'm picking up in that sense. And you have the 4th 6 here. So we had the 6 of clubs earlier. It's kind of hidden here. It was about personal growth. The 6 of diamonds, it talked about options and opportunities coming available to you to take more financial responsibility, which is very good. A lot of abundance and joy, and I just talked about destiny and fate, how more doors are going to open up for you because you're on the right track, right? The 6 of hearts talks about the same thing in the sense that you are going to have opportunities to meet somebody who can be significant in your life. Yes, it can be romantic, of course, but it can also be just like meeting someone who ends up being your best friend for the rest of your life, or some kind of business partner. Let's say if you are the Sagittarius who's looking to be in business for themselves, You could meet that key person who's going to make all the difference. It's going to help you get that off the ground. Again, the road is clear. You have all these sixes, so I see you kind of in a state of flux here. In the sense that whatever's transpiring here, it's not where you're going to stay. There's obviously a lot of potential in a lot of different areas. So whatever this means for you, your dreams, your hopes being dashed, you got so many more opportunities up here. And I think actually recognizing that this isn't going to work for you is opening up these other opportunities, because you're letting go of that. You're not hanging on to it. Another card of advice for Sagittarius before we close this out. I feel like I need one more card. Oh, we got two. Woo! Tens talk about that closing of chapters. So I'll start with the Ten of Clubs. The Ten of Clubs talks about travel. Now it could be literally traveling from one place to another. It could be traveling from one job to another. It could also be metaphorical, moving from one mindset to another. You know, perhaps you are at the moment in a state of discouragement. I'm hearing discouragement. Not necessarily pessimism. It's more like you're just discouraged. You're kind of you're let down, so you're in that kind of, oh, what the heck kind of mode. In other words, you're not actively, positively looking forward to something at the moment necessarily, but perhaps you're traveling to this place of a fresh start, a fresh outlook. So that would be symbolized by this Ten of Clubs. Now the Ten of Spades, quite different, very dark. That's about some kind of major ending that was traumatic. Remember I talked earlier about this Nine of Clubs being something of major loss, a major disappointment. The Ten of Spades is kind of the ultimate in that direction. In some context, and I don't think it is in this reading, that could be physical death, that could be a divorce. I don't know. You know what I'm getting is like you had a lot wrapped up with this situation, with this Ten of Diamonds. You had a lot. I mean, not just high hopes, but you were banking on this in some sense. You were counting on this to work out, and it's clearly not. Perhaps that's the death that we see with this Ten of Spades. And it's just about you closing that chapter and going ahead, because you have all these fantastic opportunities coming up, not necessarily with destiny, but yeah, destiny's part of it. But I was actually focusing on this Six of Diamonds. And in the midst of this, you're just kind of feeling like you're not sure how to feel about things. And hey there, Sagittarius. Sorry about that. There's a small break in the video. I had to change my battery. That means I have given you a very long reading today. so that's the trade-off anyway. So I was talking here about the Three of Hearts and how you're just still kind of pulled in two different directions. You're just not sure which way to go or how to feel about things. But you have all this very positive, open energy with all these sixes. It's kind of mind-blowing. It's fantastic. And I do believe this is all centered around you taking control of your finances and becoming this King of Diamonds. Also associated with the Pentacles in that traditional tarot. But you need to keep your heart open and remember that you have the support around you. So, and I did see that very strong in the beginning. Just want to remind you that I feel like things are very good in your home life. I do think that Two of Hearts is associated with somebody special that you have that close connection to emotionally. And whatever form that takes for you. It's just you're on this path to seek out that ultimate career opportunity, that ultimate career choice that you want to pursue. And obviously, what this was not it. I do think you're still wrapped up in and you're on the brink of like leaving the situation, because that Eight of Spades came out about relieving that pressure, relieving that stress around it. I am going to end it there. Thank you for joining me. Again, if you like the video and you want to see an extended, I'll be tallying those up in the next week, and I'll be coming out with an extended that'll be available on Vimeo. If you're interested, go ahead and hit like, and also go ahead and hit subscribe notifications if you want to see when the next video comes out, or just come back and check in with the channel. Again, thank you very much for joining me. I'm glad to see you here, and take care until I see you again.